Hello guys, and welcome to the second session of Python with Yash Infotech. So before we proceed on to the next session, let us review the topics which we covered in our first session, which is related to Python. So in the first session, we covered the basic data types which are available in Python, as well as some advanced objects which Python offers. So we studied like what are the data types: int, float, string. So these are integer data types by default. If we don't add any decimal point, then the Python will consider it as an integer data type. And if we use a decimal, then it will consider it as a float. Similarly, for string, we need to encapsulate the string part or the text part into a single quote, then it will consider it as a string. If we encapsulate that in double quotes, then also it will consider it as a string. So if we want to use a single apostrophe, we can use a double quote to mark that combination of letters as string. But if we want to use a double quote, then we can use a single apostrophe to mark that line as a string. Similarly, we can use the print function to print the string which we have already defined in a variable. We can print this directly also. And to insert variables into a string, we can use these curly braces, and using the format method of this string, we can assign the values to those variables. And then we studied about list. Lists are enclosed in square brackets, and further, if you want to traverse the list, then you need to mention the index of those lists. Index will start from 0 to n minus 1, where n is the total number of characters. Okay, and then we studied about dictionaries, like what are dictionaries. And dictionary is a combination of key value pair. And if you want to traverse through a dictionary, then you need to mention the key value. You need to mention the key, and it will return the value corresponding to that key. So for example, for key 1, this is the value, and for key 2, this is the value. So like this, we traverse the dictionary. And then we studied about tuples. So in tuples, you can't update any of the element. These are immutables, unlike lists, which are mutable. Then we moved on to set data type. So in set, you can't add duplicate objects. So we tried to add one here when one was already present. So running that will not add the extra element which we have added. So you can see this one was removed, and we have a set of unique values only. Similarly, if we have a function called add for this set data type, so when I try to add an already existing object, it will not add anything because this number 2 is already present. And then we studied about the conditional sentences that we have in Python. So in Python, if you want to combine two Boolean values, so if we run 1 is less than 2, we will get false. And if we if we run 1 is less than 2, then we will get true. And if we run 2 is less than 1, then we will get false. And since we have used this AND to combine these two Boolean values, we will get a false. So both of these conditions will fail. This condition will also fail because one is equals to 1, but we have used not equals to. So eventually this else condition will get printed. Now today we will be covering some of the basic functions, or I should say methods, which are related to the list and string data type. So to begin with, let me declare a list. Okay, we have L1 already in our system. So in L1, you can see there are different types of objects, like we have integers, we have a string, but there are various methods also supplied with this data type. So let's say you want to remove the test string from here, then we have a method which is provided with the list data type. It is called pop. So if you want to pop the last element of the string, you need to run this, and also note that the pop will return some value. So let's say if I assign the value of pop, let's say I want to pop from L1, and I want to assign the value which is popped out of L1 into A. Then if I check the value of A, then I will get test. So this test is now removed from L1 string, from L1 list, and it is stored into a variable called A. Now if we check L1, you see the last element of this list is removed and it is stored in A. You can use pop to specify which element you want to, like the index also, as they have mentioned here. Like you can specify the index, and only that element, like that element or object will be popped from the list. So let's say if I put index as 0, and if I run this, then it returns 99. Note that since I have not stored this value into some variable, we are seeing this as an output. If we store it in some variable, then we won't see this coming as output. Now if I run L1, then you can see that test which was removed earlier is also not there, and the 99 which we uh, removed just now through this command is also excluded from our list. So in list we have only these integers left now. So pop is one of the functions which is widely used with lists. There are other methods also which are there in list. Now note that the difference between method and function is that method are tied to some object which are under some class, whereas function are those which we define in Python. So those are standalone. So pop is one of the methods which is already there with a list. Now let's say let's explore some other functions which are also widely used for list data type. So for L1, we have another method called insert. So whenever you press the dot symbol and start typing the method name, you will get a hint from Jupyter Notebook. So through this hint, you can see you need to supply the index and the object which you want to insert. So let's say I want to insert at position 2 a string which is test. And if I run this, then you can see at index 2. So this is 0, 1, 2. At index 2, a string called test is inserted with the help of this function, this method. So apart from insert, there are other methods also which are widely used in Python. So let us see another widely used method which is append. Let's say you want to add 99 at the end of this list. So as you can see, this tool is helping us to understand what this method will do. So if I put 99 here and run this, then 99 should get added at the end of the list. As you can see here, now 99 is also present. Moving further to next methods which are available in Python. So let's say you want to insert a single element, then you can use append. But if you want to add a list to an already existing list, then what you can do, you can use the extend method. So let's say I put a value here like -9, -8, and -7, separated by commas. If I run this and see the output, then you can see -9, -8, -7 are inserted into this existing list. Now we can achieve the same using the plus operator also. So let's say you wanted -6, -5, -4 here. So now in the same list, we have -6, -4, and 4 also added. But the print is showing as as a vertical because now the length of this list has increased. So let me rerun this L1 and see what is the output. Now here, when we ran this part, we can see -6, -5, and -4. But if I rerun this variable, I don't see those values. This is because we have not assigned this newly created list to the existing list. So to achieve that, you need to write L1 equals to, and can copy this entire syntax. It will not give any output because it will store in this variable. And if we run L1 now, we have -6, -5, -4. So we have two ways to extend the list. One is the extend method, second is using the plus operator. So for list, we have till now covered 4 methods. So for list, we have covered like 4 methods till now, which are insert, append, pop, and extend. There are other methods also, which you can check using the Jupyter Notebook IntelliSense. So you just need to put dot. So in that case, you can see all these methods are there. So using sort, you can sort the list, and the pop we have insert. Using remove, you can remove any object. You need to specify the index of that. It is similar to insert. So these are other methods which are available for you for list data type. Similarly, we have other methods for string data type also. So let me see whether we have some value stored in our string variable. Yeah, so this is a value, or let me create a new string. Okay, so we have a string which has the value. This is a string and it is stored in S1 variable. Now, let's say you want to convert this string into a list. Then how will you do that? One way to do this is through loops, which we will study later. But there are other convenient ways also which you can use. So there is a method in Python called split. Now, if we run the split, then it will return this is a string in a list format. So all these words which are separated by a space are splitted into a list, and now you can traverse this list, or you can even index through this. So let's say you want to access the third element, so you just need to mention 2 here. You can see A is getting printed. Now often in web scraping you might use this method called list, because let us consider one more example. Let's say S1 is equals to um, let's say I'm writing here, let's play sports, and since we are using apostrophe here, it is a good example to show like where we can use the double quotes. So let's say there Twitter on Twitter there is some tweet where someone has mentioned let's play sports hashtag go sports. Now you want to extract the hashtag which they have used. So you can extract that using the split method. Let me show you how you can do that. So we have a string, and if I print the output, if I see the variable value, so we have let's play sport, go sports. Now you want to extract this tag, this hashtag. If you want to extract using the split method, then you just need to specify hash as a parameter of this method, and it will give you two element list. So it will split on the basis of hash. So we have one part where which is before the hash symbol which we have used, hash or pound, and we have the second element which is after the pound symbol. Now if you want to extract the go sports part here, then you just need to provide the index here. Now if you give one, this is the hashtag part which we have extracted using the split method. Similarly for strings, we have other methods also which are quite helpful. So one of those is upper. Now if you give upper here, then all the letters of the string will be converted to uppercase. Similarly, if you specify lower here, then all the elements will be changed to lowercase. But if you see, if I check the value of the s1 variable, it is still the same because we have not assigned this value to the original string. You can do that using s1 equals to s1 dot upper and run this command. But in our case, I'm not going to run this because we will be checking other methods also. So I want to keep the string value to this with a combination of upper and lower. Now, uh, let's say you want to remove some part of the string. Let's say you want to remove let's from here along with the space character. So you need to write s1 dot replace. You need to provide the value which you want to remove. And let's say if we want to replace it with nothing now. You can see that we have removed the let's part from our string along with the space character with the help of this replace method. Now, if I check s1 again, what do you think will be the output? We haven't removed let's from here in our variable because again, this will not update the existing variable. It will just pick the value from the variable, replace that part and show that as output. If you want to store this in a string, you need to again use the assignment operator. So if I run this and I see the output now, so earlier we had let's play sports, go sports. Now that let's part is removed and this string starts with play sports. Now let's say you want to capitalize this first letter. Then to achieve that, you can use one more method which is supplied for a string data type. It is called capitalize. So with this method, the first letter of this string is now capitalized and you can assign into this to s1 and s1 will hold that value. Now let's say you want to combine two strings. Let me assign this value to s1 on a new cell. So if I assign this value to s1, then we have s1 starting with a capital P. Now let's say you want to uh, concatenate two strings. So to do that, you need to use the plus operator. Let's say if I write here in India. So this is the output that you will get. To assign this to our original string, you can use s1 plus the new string which you want to add. And if we see s1 now, then the output for string s1 is play sports, go sports in India. This part we have concatenated in our last cell. So similarly, like these methods, we have other methods also. You can use find to get the index of the letter which you want to find in our string. We can check whether the string is a numeric through these other methods which are provided. Else strip could be used to strip any additional spaces which are present. And similarly, we have upper function and strip function, which is used to strip any additional spaces from left and right side of the string. Starts with is used to identify the starting element, whether it starts with, let's say, T or P or anything. So there are a lot of methods which are available for a string. We have covered few methods which are widely used. You can explore other methods also as per your need. So these are the methods which you can explore in Python Jupyter Notebook for list and string data type. There are methods for other data types also, but we won't be covering all of them in this session because you can explore as per your need the other methods which are also available in the Python. Now moving forward to the uh, next part of Python. So we have loop conditions also in Python. So let's say if you want to uh, run a while loop in Python, sorry, let's say you want to run a for loop on a list, and the list has value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is stored in a variable called nest. And if you want to traverse this through a for loop, then you need to mention for I in nest, where I is a iterable. And let's say if you want to print this value. So you can see here, all these 5 elements are now printed. And if we check the value of I, the value of I is 5. So we have used I here just to traverse through each of the objects in the list. But if let's say you want to delete this variable, then you can use the del keyword. It got deleted. Now if I check the value of I again, I will get an error because I is not defined. We have already deleted it. So this for loop is helpful in traversing through the list. You just need to specify the list name here and the iterable variable name. Now in here we have used a list, but when you move further in Python, you might be using a huge amount, a huge uh, number of iterables. So let's say if you want to traverse from a list starting from 1 to 1 lakh, then it won't be a wise option to use a list. In that case, you should use a generator. Now, generator is a Python object which is used to generate the value, and it will store that value in a list. So let's say first let's study like what is a range. So if I mention 1 comma 5 here, so our range is a generator which will start from 1. It will go till 5 minus 1. So if I run this, I won't get any output because in generators, unless you can convert them to a list, you won't get any output. So let me wrap up this in a list function. You can see it started from 1 till 4. Now the parameters which are there for range are like this starting value, the ending value, comma, the step value. So let's say I give a value 2 here. If I run this, then it will start from 1, it will skip 2, it will go to 3, it will skip 4. Now if I give like 10 here instead of 5, you can see it started from 1, it skipped 2, then it moved to 3, then 5, then 7, then 9, like that. So these are the three parameters which you can pass for the range generator. So, and there is one more use of this with only one parameter. So let's say if I give 10 as a input parameter, then it will start from 0 till the parameter -1. So this is the list which will get generated. You can store this into some variable as per your need, but we can also use this in our for statement. So let's say I want to loop this to a range from 1 to 5. And if I run this, then you can see we are able to achieve a similar result using uh, the range generator. Now let's say if you want to square this value, you can use the double asterisk and 2 like we studied in our last session. So using this method, you can create a power of the existing variable. Okay. Now here you can see we have written two statements to achieve this result, but we can also achieve this using a single list. So for that, what you can do, you can combine this into a single line like n asterisk asterisk 2 for n in range 1 comma 5. If I run this, you will see a list of objects where n starts from 1 to 4, and for each n it is squared. So when you move to advanced uh, programming level in Python, you will be able to see these commands used where each of the elements is squared and converted into a list rather than this for loop. So you can achieve the same result using a compact code. Now we have covered the for loop in Python. Similarly, there is a while loop also, which is widely used in other languages also. So let's say we have a variable. This is called the iterable. Like we'll be using I as a iterable here. So I is having value equals to 0. And in our while loop, we are giving condition like I should be less than 5. Then we will be printing I, the square of I, and we need to increment I with I plus 1. Now if you run this is the output because I started from 0, then 1, then 2. So the square of 2 is 4, for 3 it is 9, similarly for 4 it is 16. So you can use the while for the while loop also to achieve the same result which we achieved using the for loop. So these are the um, methods and functions, method and loop conditions which we covered today. So before ending this session, let us go through each of these. So we started from the append, started from the pop method of list. So using pop, you can pop the last element if no parameter is supplied. If a parameter is supplied, then it should be index of our list. So if you specify 0, then the 0th element will be popped from the list. Similarly, we have insert method, which will insert object at the specified index. Append could be used to insert this element at the last position of the list. Extend could be used to concatenate two lists into one. We can achieve the same using plus operator also. And if you want to store this value into a list, you need to use the assignment operator. Similarly, for string also we studied various methods like split. Split is it will split the string on the basis of the space character. Wherever it finds a space character, it will consider it as a separate list object. So this is a string is a splitted part of this string with which is separated by a space character. We can supply some value, some parameter to our split method, and that parameter will be used as a uh, segregation parameter. So if we specify hash here, then this will be separated into two parts, where the first element will be everything before the pound symbol and the second element will be everything after the pound symbol. So using this, we can see we are getting ghost ports here as output. This is useful in web scraping. Similarly, we studied like upper will change all caps to upper, lower will change all caps to lower, and replace is used to replace any part of the string. Capitalize will capitalize the first character of the string. And then we studied about the for loop. So in for loop, this is iterable. You can specify a list here, or you can also specify some generator here, like range. It will generate these values and print it. So range will not be stored in memory. This will help in saving the memory space for the runtime. So using range, you can directly print everything without the need to store that in the list. Similarly, you can achieve this operation in a single line by using this command. Like you need to specify the variable, the operation which you want to perform on that variable, and then you need to specify like the if the for keyword for the variable in like the iterable which you want it to iterate. So if we specify this, it will square all objects from 1 to 4. Similarly, there is a while loop also available in Python. So using this while loop, also you can achieve the same result. It will, we need to supply some iterable value here and make sure that it is satisfying some condition. If that condition is satisfied, then this part will get executed. Otherwise, it will stop. We are increasing this value by 1 every time, and we are printing the square of this number, which is similar to what we did here using for loop. So that's all for today's session. We will covering up next Python topics in our next session. Thank you. Have a nice day.